That's the money spot. Wow. So dirty, that ball.
Welcome back to JR Pro Shop Vids. Today we got a hook monster. We got the Storm Supernova here, and we got Jungo out on the lanes showing us how it's done. This ball is supposed to be a tank, hook out of the house, so we thought there's no better ball to compare it to than the most hookingest ball in bowling, the Proton PHYSIX. So going back to the Supernova here, it has the same ignition core as in the original Nova. The only difference is the cover stock. So this one has the NEX or the Nano Extreme cover stock found on the Proton PHYSIX. We know that it digs through oil like crazy, and we're expecting it to be just as strong, maybe even stronger than the Proton PHYSIX, but who knows. Today, Jungo's bowling on 40-foot Mercury, and we got something really special for you. So you may realize that we got two Supernovas here, and that's because we did something really special with the layouts and the mass bias. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, make sure you watch to the end of the video and you'll understand it all. So shout out to all of our members. They got to watch this video 24 hours early, and we're always having a lot of fun responding to their comments, coaching with them, chatting with them, everything in between. So if you want to become a member, join our JR Pro Shop community, make sure you hit that join button down below. That's enough of me talking, thinking about hook. Let's see some actual hook out on the lanes with Jungo.
Welcome back, everyone. Jungo is back. We got the Supernova. We're gonna compare it to the Proton PHYSIX. Same layout, same cover stock, so we're just comparing cores. Brand new, just drilled it. Still got the lines on it. Nice and dull. Got some fur on it. Medium pattern here, so try to get the break point around 11, 10, 9. All right, not bad. A little rolly, but that's to expect of a brand new high-end asymmetrical solid. Just gonna roll. Got a little bit of oil on it now, so it should be a little bit better as the more we throw it. All right, so with that being said, I would suggest if you get a new ball, no matter what it is, take it out on the lanes, throw a game or two with it before you bowl league or tournament. Don't go in just super fresh. All right, let's throw that again. Same line. All right, that was a little bit left of target from the previous shot, but that's obviously where I have to aim. That was really good. Ball rolled nice and early, nice and smooth. Continued through the pins pretty well. Okay, same line. Just try and get another good strike here and then throw the Proton. Wow, so even that ball being super fresh, super dull, rolls really early. I was still able to leave a 9-pin there, so that ball's still continuing down in the back end, which is nice to see. Right, you don't want balls to roll, burn up super early, and then have nothing left at the end of the pattern. This ball seems to retain energy just as well. Trust the old Proton PHYSIX. Same ball from the original vid. If you want to check that out, right here. I have a feeling this Proton's going to go a little bit further down lane before it starts to hook. It definitely went a little bit longer than the Supernova and had a little bit more defined hook shape, like a little bit more of a hockey stick rather than a C shape. So same cover stock, both really strong bowling balls, like biggest hooking ball ever, just slightly different shapes. One more time, the Proton. This ball is good. So dirty, that ball. That ball hooks like crazy still. How many months after it came out? How many games have I got on this thing? Still hooks like crazy. Unbelievable. Okay, back to the Supernova. Let's move 3 boards to the left. And since this ball, I feel like it rolls a little bit earlier than the Proton, we'll see how far left we can go and still have it continue through the pins. So 3 boards left of the last strike. Okay, that was a decent shot. It's not the greatest ball off my hand, but as you can see, that ball rolled really early. Didn't really have that much left in the back end once I move left 3 boards. Let's try and throw it a little bit better, get around it a little bit more. Okay, that was a much better shot. That was 10 out of 10 off my hand. But you can see the 10 pin went really late. You know, we're getting into that zone where this ball is a little bit too early for playing that far to the left. Let's throw a couple more with this Nova, and then we got something pretty cool we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little experiment next. I have another Nova sitting there, drilled a little bit differently, and we're gonna compare the two. Same line as the last shot where the 10 pin went late. I'm just gonna try and get around it a little bit more. Yeah, that ball just a little bit early for that line. Just comes in a little bit, you know, not enough angle. We're gonna throw the Proton in that same line, and then we're gonna bring Barks in and do something pretty cool. So I think the Proton would be the ideal ball just because it does travel a little bit further and hook a little bit harder down lane, so. Yeah, just an extra bit of entry angle. Supernova, a little bit earlier, a little bit flatter than the good old-fashioned Proton Physics. Most hookingest ball of all time. Something a little bit special here. Halfway through the vid, I have a second Supernova. We have a slightly different drilling on it. We have the pin in the exact same spot, but the mass bias is now in the thumb hole, where the first comparison with the Proton Physics, the mass bias was a couple inches to the right of the thumb, the same layout as the Proton, but now we have the mass bias in the thumb. Barks, can you tell us a little bit more what the mass bias means and what it does being in the thumb versus a couple inches right of my thumb?
All right, so the mass bias marker indicates where the asymmetry in the core is. So the more asymmetric that core is, the more of a response we're gonna see off the end of the pattern. All right, so looking at the 2 Supernovas here, we have one where that mass bias marker is 2 inches to the right of the thumb, and the other one you can't see. It's actually in the thumb hole itself. So what we're gonna see out of these 2 bowling balls, this one where the mass bias is away from the thumb, this ball is going to rev up more in the mid lane and be a little bit smoother overall as far as ball motion's concerned. Comparing that to the one where it's in the thumb, this is going to take longer to rev up. It's going to go a little further down the lane, and you're going to see a more defined hook shape off the end of the pattern. You're going to see a little more pop versus something like this where it's away from the thumb hole.
Okay, thanks for the explanation, Barks. That makes a lot of sense. So am I going to see like a similar amount of boards hooked out of these 2 balls?
I think you'll see a similar amount of overall hook, but the way they hook and the shape is going to be a little bit different.
So we have the pin in the very same spot on both balls, just above the bridge here. The only difference is the mass bias placement. What's the layout difference in these 2 balls?
So the only difference is going to be in the drilling angle. So on this ball here, with the mass bias away from the thumb, the layout that was used was 30 by 5 1/4 by 35, and in the one where it's in the thumb hole, it's 70 by 5 1/4 by 35. So the only thing we've changed is the drilling angle. Even that adjustment on an asymmetric ball is going to really change the type of ball motion you see.
So in conclusion, the drilling angle, the lower it is, the earlier the ball's going to rev up and the smoother the shape is going to be down lane. So you can really change the reaction of a bowling ball just by changing one number of the layout.
Now it should be noted, you're only going to see this type of change in ball motion in an asymmetric ball. So in a symmetric ball, that spot isn't marked because there is no asymmetry in the core. When the ball is drilled, there is a spot that is asymmetric, but it's usually right in the thumb hole. So we can't really fine tune it. And that's a big advantage of an asymmetric ball, is we can really fine tune that ball reaction. And that's why you'll see asymmetric cores in the higher end or more expensive bowling balls. Just gives you a few more options and really lets you fine tune that ball reaction. Right, Jung? So you've thrown the one with the mass bias away from the thumb. I want to see how the one in the thumb compares. I think it's going to be a little bit sharper, but let's see it out in the lane.
Let's do it. All right, halfway through the vid, question time with Jungo. We're about to see what changing layouts on the same ball can do to the ball reaction. So, do you like to tinker with layouts yourself, or do you let your Pro Shop guy handle it? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, we're back on the same lane, 40-foot Mercury. We're just gonna compare the 2 Supernovas as Barker just explained. So we're gonna start with the one with the mass bias a couple inches to the right of my thumb hole. I'm just gonna stand in the spot I think is the best to get a strike, and we'll go from there. That ball is just really controllable, right? I really like those kind of balls on the fresh, maybe shorter patterns, medium patterns. Not so much the long, right? Just because they might roll a little bit too early and too smooth. So, okay, that was a really good shot with the mass bias away from the thumb. This ball, the mass bias is in the thumb. We're gonna stand in the same spot. These balls were just drilled, so both of them have no games on it. I think this ball will definitely hook a little bit harder in the back end. Yeah, I got that a little bit further right, and it almost left a 9-pin. I think it might hook a board or two more, and definitely sharper down lane. So with that being said, bowlers like me who have a little bit more forward roll, like a little bit less axis tilt, like the ball's rolling more end over end, balls with mass bias in the thumb holes are kind of what I gravitate towards for asymmetrical balls, just because they do travel down lane that extra couple feet. So 10-pin went late on that. It was a really good shot, hit my target. The mass bias in the thumb was like almost even 9 pins from that spot. And this ball is rolling much earlier and just kicking out the 10 real late. So amount of boards covered really similar, maybe 1 or 2 more by the mass bias in the thumb, and definitely really can see the reaction difference down lane. So because the mass bias in the thumb really hooks really hard down lane and has lots of continuation, we can play further left. So let's move forward to the left, and I don't think this ball will have any problem recovering. Wow, that was good. I missed the board right there at the arrows too, and it still recovered. I think the other Nova, mass bias a couple inches right at the thumb, would have come in really light, maybe even missed the headpin right. So you can see how just like changing where the mass bias is on the ball, you can really change the reaction. So make sure your pro shop guy is drilling the balls to what you want them to do, right? Have a discussion with them, talk to them, let them know what you want to see. All right, a couple more here with the mass bias in the thumb. All right, that was more where I was aiming. High flush, ball's got sick continuation down lane. All right, and just with the difference in mass bias placement, you can really see the difference in the flare of the ball. The mass bias in the thumb hole of the ball flares a little bit less in the oil. Therefore, it has the energy stored to make that big motion down lane, as you can see in this picture. Wow. Right, that's 4 boards left of where the mass bias 2 inches right at the thumb was striking from. And that ball's continuing from there really, really hard. Okay, 4 boards left with my feet. We'll see if you can hook back from here. All right, so not quite coming back from there. So we're gonna have to slow down drastically. That was slowed way down. Still not able to get back to the pocket. Just burns up a little bit too much energy, I think, with that rough surface to get back from there. So let's move back forward to the right, throw a strike, send it home. Yeah, that's the money spot. All right, let's go to the shop.
All right, Jungo's back to the lanes throwing the brand new Supernova. I expected this ball to hook out of the house. It's got the same cover stock as the most hooking ball of all time, the Proton Physics. So I drilled one the same as the Proton, and we compared the two. Supernova hooks earlier, if you can believe that, right? Really early, really smooth, really predictable, and hooks a lot. Proton Physics, this is the original one I had from the original Proton review, so quite a few months old, maybe over a year now, actually. This ball gets down the lane a little bit easier, turns the corner a little bit harder, which is surprising, because every time this ball goes down the lane, out hooks everything else. So we have a similar amount of boards hooked, same cover stock, kind of same aggressive core, basically almost the same ball. We then did something really fun that we haven't done before. We put the pin in the same spot, which is right above the bridge, right above the 2 fingers. On this ball, we put the mass bias a couple inches to the right of the thumb, matching the Proton. And on this ball, we put the mass bias in the thumb hole. Everything is the same, except the dual angle layouts, the first number, the drilling angle. This ball is 30, and this ball is 70. So with just changing the first number by about 35-40 points, you can really see the reaction difference. The one with the mass bias a couple inches to the right of the thumb hooks a little bit earlier and has a more smooth shape overall. You're probably better off playing a little bit straighter angles with this layout. As you can see, as I moved left throughout the review, we started getting weaker and weaker, earlier and earlier, and more 10 pins. I then went to the mass bias in the thumb hole. It was able to continue through the pins much better. I was able to leave a couple 9 pins where this ball was wrapping 10s or 10 was going late. This ball was almost leaving a 9. So you can really see the reaction difference, and I think the one with the mass bias and the thumb hole hooks maybe 1 or 2 boards more. With that being said, you can really see the difference in the flare. The one with the mass bias, 2 inches to the right of the thumb, the flare lines are wider apart, so it's dispersing more energy earlier. Therefore, the one with the mass bias and the thumb hole gets down the lane a little bit easier and retains more energy and is able to turn the corner left harder. So for me personally, I would probably use the ball with the mass bias in the thumb hole just because of my roll. The one with the mass bias 2 inches right just rolls a little bit too early for me. I don't think I will be able to use it much. But the one that hooks a little bit later and harder, I think I can use it on a more variety of patterns and get more use out of it. And also I think if I take the cover down, take the dullness off, I can really have a versatile ball here. Just changing the first angle of the dual angle layouts, you can really see the reaction difference. So make sure you go to your pro shop, you discuss with them what you want to see out of your ball, because it does make a difference. And at the end of the day, if you want to see hook, get a Proton Physics or get a Supernova. They both hook out of the house. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you learned something today with the mass bias. Thanks again to all our members. We have fun interacting with you, answering your questions, watching your videos, and helping you become the best bowler that you can be. And if you want to become a member yourself, if you're not already, hit that join button below. And also, do not forget my question down below. Do you like to tinker with layouts yourself, or do you just let your pro shop guy handle it? Let me know down in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. See you in the next one.